Hello everyone and welcome back to JB Soul Gaming, where today we're taking a look at Into the Breach. Into the Breach is a turn-based strategy game somewhat similar to Advanced Wars, if you remember that game, made by the makers of FTL. FTL is a fantastic real-time pausable rogue-light strategy game that obviously is very, very popular. And it's been a while since I've done a game. This is their next game, and this game you start with 3 mechs, and then you have to go back in time basically and save humanity. So the breach is basically something that your pilot's going to jump back into, and you're going to try to save humanity. Now, whenever you jump back into time, you can change, who your pilot is. You can basically carry over one pilot from your last mission that's going to have some bonuses, and then choose which mech they are going to go into and things like that. And as you play the game, like a lot of these roguelike games where you're going to hopefully you'll be able to eventually beat the game, but you'll want to beat it over and over again, and you'll probably lose pretty often. You'll have to start over, but you unlock things as you go. There are quests you can do to unlock things, and there's an interesting little mechanism where you can do the final battle after 2, 3, or 4 islands, and you'll kind of see what that means in a second here. And this is kind of a first look video. If you guys like this video, you want to see more, maybe a let's play or something like that, let me know and we can continue with this game. And then you can change the squad that you want to roll out with. We're going to roll out with the basic squad. You can actually unlock here different groups of mechs that do different things, and you can see I have a decent number of coins here. I could unlock several of them, and I was about to do that, but I figured, hey, let's go ahead and play a game with the stuff you start with so you can see that first, and then if there's interest, maybe I'll play a game with a different squad or something like that. So let's go ahead and head out, start the game, and we'll talk. We'll take it pretty slow here in the first kind of round or two and explain everything to you, so if you're interested in playing this game, you kind of have a head start. After you have defeated these islands here, you can start on any of them. We'll start on the base island that you start with, and you can see, if you look down here, it'll show you the types of monsters you'll come across, the types of environments in this area, but again, you can start on any of them, but this is the one where you start the game. So let's go ahead and check it out here. We get a little introduction scene, and basically each one of these islands is run by a different person, and they'll have something to say. And then when we start, a little bit like FTL, you instead of the nodes that you had in that game that you would choose, you'll choose where to go to do missions. So if you scroll over something, there'll be some information. Sometimes there's more information about it being a specialty mission. So what are these things here? Well, the stars here are going to be these corporate reputation that after we beat this island, we'll be able to spend that corporate reputation in order to buy upgrades and things like that. Each island has their own reputation, so we'll want to spend everything we have. It can't carry over. We're just getting it for this island. Sometimes you will see these power cores, reactor cores that allow us to upgrade our mechs, and then you'll also have these lightning bolts. These upgrade our power grid. So if we do this mission, we'll get 1 reputation and 1 power. Maybe I think we'll go ahead and do this, because the way you lose the game is if your power grid ever goes down to 0. Now you notice we started with a little bit of power, so we have a pilot here that already has some power here. So if you look here, here's our reactor. Right now there's this 1 green power that is unassigned. So we could go ahead and assign that to movement, to health, and then there are also things like this one here that we would need to have 2 power installed in order to pump into this in order to increase our damage. Getting more movement is definitely nice, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. And we're going to jump into a mission. Let's go ahead and jump into the library here. So we'll see a little mini map, and you can see what we specifically have to do in order to get these bonuses. End the battle with less than 4 total mech damage. We can take 4 damage or more as long as we repair also, and we end it with that. And we want to protect the coal plant, so we can see where the coal plant is right here on the map. So let's go ahead and start mission and jump in and talk about how this is going to work. Now, one of the interesting things about this game is it's a bit like Slay the Spire, a game we covered a little while back, where you can kind of see what the enemy's doing on their turn and plan for it. Now, we don't know on the first turn. We see where the enemies are, but bear in mind they are going to move before we function. So I really don't know what... I'm not good at the game yet, just so you know, and I apologize for those of you who are super big into strategy games. This is not how to play the game well. This is just an interest thing for people who might be interested in good independent games, one of the things to try to do on the channel. So we're going to go ahead and confirm our placement, and then the enemies are going to move. And basically, we want to protect all of these buildings. If any of these buildings get destroyed, then that's how we're going to lose things on the power grid. And we can see 2 opponents right now are going after this building. And if you highlight over anything, you can see all kinds of information. So right now I can see that this thing's going to attack straight ahead for 1 damage. If I click on it and go over here, I can see specifically what this creature does. It has a thing where it wraps up something, and it's real bad when it wraps up one of our mechs, because then they can't move unless you find a way to break that webbing and it attacks. Now you notice here it also has hardened carapace. So whenever you see a monster that looks something like this, these floating things, they have different color ones that give the creatures different things. So this one, its specific power is that it does damage reduction. So that's where the hardened carapace is coming from. If we kill this thing, then the other creatures will no longer have that effect. So we can see this one, it just gives a passive bonus, it doesn't really attack, and this one's going to do a lob shot and then hit our artillery back here. So first of all, I think we would really like to take this guy out, but we're in kind of a difficult situation here because right now, if we look at our character here, this guy does 2 damage. You can see here if we click on the attack, and it also pushes back. That's good to know. Our other people do 1 damage right now. So if we want to get down here and do 2 damage to this thing, which would be great, we don't have a great way of doing it. Now one of the cool things is that this unit here, whenever it attacks, it'll push things out of the way. So it'll do damage in one area, but then the space around it, it'll push out. Now it can only attack orthogonally up, down, left, and right, but you can see the effects of everything, so that's something kind of cool. So the problem we're having though is we got to get down to this guy if we want to take this one out, and we can't. We're like 1 space short, and if we push this creature out of the way, then that's not necessarily going to help, because it's actually going to push it into this guy, and then they'll both take a damage. Whenever you push things into each other, things both take damage. So what exactly do we want to do? Well, actually, I'm trying to figure that out right now, because if we move this mech out of the way, then we'll be able to maybe push this thing, but the problem is if we push this thing up, it's just going to hit this building. Now, it's interesting, one of the upgrades that I like to get, and I actually had at the start of the game last time, and maybe I should have chosen this with my 1 power, is you can make this thing not damage buildings. So we can move it over 1, hit this building, and then move this monster away. So one thing you also want to bear in mind is the attack order. So this is a big thing here. If you go over to the attack order in the upper right, you'll see there may be different environmental effects, different things that'll happen, and it'll also show you on the monster's number that they'll attack. So looking at this, I can say, hey, you know what, if I hit this creature and knock it forward, now this creature, instead of hitting this building, is going to be hitting this creature and can destroy it, because this one doesn't have the hardened carapace. Oh, it won't quite destroy it, it'll do 1 damage. So, how do we want to do this? Well, we could definitely get rid of this guy. This will do 1 damage, and if we do 1 damage either with our tank or with the artillery, then we're in good shape. So here's what I'm thinking we're going to do. We're actually going to fire with the artillery first, because if I knock this guy down here and then fire with the artillery, I'll knock this guy away. So we're going to move over here, and we're going to fire, and then this basically is just going to hit this guy for 1 and then do nothing else, but it would have knocked creatures orthogonally away. Now I'm going to punch with this guy and knock him over here. So now we can see this creature is going to do 1 damage to this creature, destroying it. Also, you notice here, these arrows with the things coming up, that is where enemy creatures are going to spawn on the next turn. If there's something standing on those spaces, whether it be one of our mechs or the enemy, then it will basically block that tile for 1 turn, so it'll delay that creature coming out and do 1 damage to whatever is on top of it. So that's pretty nice. And then if we really wanted to, we could actually get rid of this thing right now and make sure this guy is going to die when that pops up. Now we're already safe with this because we moved out of the way. So now if we look on the hardened carapace again, we can see that it does basically 1 damage, but it doesn't all other damage, push, blocking, fire, etc. is unaffected. So even if this thing wasn't dead, it would still take 1 damage from this popping up because that isn't blocked. And this guy, when he attacks, he does push. So when he will push this guy into this guy, killing this one, and you'll see he'll do 1 damage as well. So we'll kill this creature. Now the hardened carapace is gone. This thing will pop up and kill this creature. This guy's still around, but we'll only have 1 more creature pop up next turn. So for those of you who've played the game or already figured all this out, I apologize if we're taking a little bit long explaining everything, but I want to make sure we go over all the mechanisms in the game so that if you're interested in playing it, you can kind of start with a head start and kind of get a full idea of how this game is going to work. So now we have one of these situations where now we're being wrapped up. So now this mech isn't going to be able to move. So we could easily just hit this guy over here, and then he will also take damage from this popping up here, and we can get to this guy with this here. So I think we'll take this turn a little bit quicker. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to move down here, We're going to punch this guy and destroy him because this mech starts doing 2 damage. We are going to go ahead and fire and knock this guy over to here, and then we're going to move our artillery back over and do 1 damage. Now, you'll get to see the effect here. Our mech will be pushed out of the way, but it doesn't take damage on that push. So we'll do 1 damage, push out of the way. So we're again blocking this space. This guy's going to die. We're going to have 3 creatures pop up next turn, but we won't have anything left that's still on the board, and we haven't taken any damage anywhere. So we're doing all right, because again, you want to protect this power grid and not lose any buildings. So we're going to protect this building specifically in the coal plants in order to get the bonus at the end of the round. So wait for everybody to move, and let's see if we're going to end up in a difficult situation here, which we might. So this creature, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get pinged there, which is a bummer. Now, how do we want to do this? So if we fire with this guy, we could actually protect our artillery by knocking this guy into this path. Now, if we fire with this guy, though, we're going to be vulnerable to this creature's attack. So right now, both of these creatures are going to attack. No, actually, sorry, I wasn't looking. This guy's actually doing a lob shot, so that's fine. So as long as we move our mech, which we will, we can knock this creature away, covering that up. It'll unweb this guy. We won't, but you can't move after you attack. Now, one thing you can do, though, just to bear in mind, you can move with a mech and then maybe move with a different one and fire, and then go back to a different mech and fire. You don't have to finish each mech's turn before you finish, but I do believe once you finish their move, they can't move again, even if they would have movement left. So that's the way the turn works. So sometimes it is that you kind of have to do the thing you want to do, move with something first, then move and attack with something else. So you can jump back and forth like that. So you definitely want to bear that in mind. So I'm thinking, now how far can you move? You can move all the way to here. So I'm thinking we could, how do we want to do this? We could move this guy over here to cover this spot, or move this guy here. And we could punch this guy and then punch it into this other creature as well. Actually, we don't really need to do that though. How much damage? This only does 1. So I wish we could get all the way down here. Trying to think what our best option is, because if we punch this guy with this mech here, that's not necessarily going to be ideal, huh? So many things to think about. We definitely want to use this guy, but I'm just trying to decide what the best option is. Well, I think we definitely want to push this guy away no matter what we do, though, because he's doing 1 damage to us. There. So now, right now, the way things are, even if we don't do anything else, this creature's going to attack this one for 1, and then this is going to pop up and finish this creature off. Now, we could come down and punch this thing, but these are the sort of things you have to bear in mind. If we punch this thing for 2 damage, we'll move it over here, and then it'll attack this building and destroy it. So more than once, I've done something, and I've ended up going, oh, that was really terrible. So I wish I could get all the way down here, because if I could, then I could punch this creature, do 2 damage, knock it into this. I'd finish off this creature, which would be fantastic. But that's really not the way it's working. So I think instead of punching it or doing anything or knocking it out of the way, I'm actually just going to move down here and block this tile. You can see I have 3 health. As long as I end with less than 4 at the end of it, and we're going to have victory in 2 turns, that's no big deal. So with our artillery here, what do we want to do? We could just... Now, if we hit this guy, though... See, this isn't really ideal, because if we hit this guy, then we'll knock the other one up, and then it won't be on top of the spawn. It will do 1 damage to him, but we could technically do 1 damage to each of these guys by doing something slightly different. This may sound silly, but I'm actually going to go ahead. Oh, this is kind of a bad thing. So check this out. We're going to do undo move. This actually worked out really well. At any point, as long as you haven't attacked with something, you can undo their move at any time. That's fine, as long as you haven't done something else, moved something else, fired, whatever. You can only ever reset your entire turn once per combat, though. So there is an undo move if you're like, ooh, I just realized I don't want to do that yet. As long as you haven't done anything else, you can undo a move, which is great. But you can only reset the entire turn once per combat. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire here. So that way, we're going to go ahead and do a damage to this creature and this one. Now, if we do this, this will no longer be blocked because he'll die before the creature comes out, because this creature will kill it and then something will spawn. But I don't know. I kind of like this. Why not? So we'll do a damage to each of them. Now, oh, I could actually, now that we've done that, this is even better. I can go down and then finish this guy off. There we go. So this will pop up and do 1 damage to there. So we've done everything we can. We're going to end turn. So the only attacks that are going to happen are this blank space and this blank space. So that actually worked out pretty well. We were able to take out that guy entirely. So, and yeah, you'll definitely have these moments where you'll do something and realize you actually made a terrible mistake or things like that. So, and like I said, you can spend a lot of time on this. And now, as far as difficulty goes, I beat the game on easy. The first time I tried, I do have to admit, on normal, I have gotten to the final battle, but I haven't beaten it yet. I definitely think I could have beat it. I got to the final battle actually with full grid power and then just really screwed up the final battle. And I haven't played it on hard, so I do believe this game, while there are certainly going to be some YouTubers and streamers out there that are going to be like super good at this game, overall, I think if you're interested in a challenge, this game can definitely offer you that. So, how do we want to do this? So at this point, we have 3 creatures attacking buildings, which is bad, obviously, and we have 3 mechs, so hopefully we can just avoid each one of those sensibly. So, let's see here. How far can you move? I kind of like this idea. Now, you get experience. You can see over here, the experience bar is filling up. This is the pilot we brought over from the last mission, because you can send one basically forward in time, I guess, to go back in time. I don't know, back to the future sort of thing. So killing creatures is useful to get experience, although I think this person is already leveled up as much as they can be. But we can definitely kill this thing. Just to show it off here, why don't we do this? We're going to move here, and then we're going to fire. We'll do 1 damage and push him into the mountain, which will again deal another damage. And there are destructible environments in this. This can eventually be destroyed if we want to do that. Now, with this here, we could go ahead and just shoot here and move this creature over so that it's going to fire into the mountain. So there we go. This one's out of the way. And then we can simply enough come over here, and we want to be careful. We don't want to punch this guy into this building here because that'll actually destroy the building because it moves when it does damage. So we can just do this. We'll end turn, and then we will finish the round completely. So I think we'll go ahead and do one other combat in this video for those of you who want to check it out. So, but there's a basics of like how the mechanisms within the game works, and it's interesting because you're going to go through and actually if you want to see another video, please leave a comment or something like that. We'll do that because eventually we won't be able to do all the missions on the island, but eventually there's going to be one final battle on the island, and then we'll spend a reputation and things like that. So it's interesting as how you upgrade as you go, and after you defeat 2 islands, you can do the final battle, or you can do 3 or 4, and it scales the final battle to whatever difficulty you're at. Now, these missions are also based difficulty on the type of rewards that they offer. So do we want to go ahead and do another mission that gets our power generator all the way back to full, or do we want, you know what, let's go ahead and try to get 2 points here. Let's see what this mission is. Defend the satellite launches. Okay, so we're going to have some things launching here. Looks pretty straightforward. There are missions where there are definitely some weird stuff out there and things that change things up. Ground falling away, terraforming land, and all this. So right now you're just kind of seeing the basics of it. So I do want you to bear that in mind. So let's go ahead and place here. We got lots of free range for artillery to move in the back here. That's nice. Let's go ahead and confirm. And this is the basics of the game. It may seem pretty simple, but trust me, it gets pretty complicated. It's almost like a puzzle game in a sense, some of the things that you can do. And one of the other things that's kind of neat about this game that I like is you can definitely use the environment as well. You need to pay attention to environmental effects. And for example, right now, what I could do is knock this guy into the water. So right now, this guy, again, is giving the... this one, poison shell. Oh, okay. So, oh no, sorry, this one. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. So this again has the hardened carapace. There are different ones. There are ones that give bonus hit points. There are ones that heal at the end of the turn. There are ones that damage you at the end of the turn. So you definitely come across different creatures in different environments if you play the game more, if you don't check out any other videos on this. So we could do this 2 ways. We could knock this guy into the water with our artillery, with a push. We could use this guy to push. But we have 3 creatures attacking buildings. So right now this is dealing 1 damage. This is dealing 1 damage. I'm actually considering the possibility of... maybe putting our mech in between something and just taking a damage. That may be the best way to do this, because I definitely want to get rid of this thing. We could just focus these guys. It'd be great if I could push this one over here and then this one over, but we can't really do that because we can't get over to this side of this guy. And again, you can get an upgrade on this in order to give it, when it shoots a building, it doesn't do damage to the building, so like we could push something away or something like that. But I think for now, let's go ahead and make sure we finish this thing off first so that we're doing full damage to the enemy. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and launch this guy into the water. Oh, but he's flying. I'm a dum-dum. There are creatures that they'll say like huge or gigantic or something. I'm trying to remember what the term is. Where does it say it? I don't know, somewhere where it'll say they can go in water and not die, but this guy's flying, so yeah, that was just a dumb move. So I could go ahead and reset turn, and actually I may do that. I'm trying to think here. You know what, just to show it, why not? We can only do this once. Let's go ahead and reset a turn and try to do something a little bit smarter. So he cannot get there to deal 2 damage. You can upgrade him so that he can do his power punch all the way across the map, which is kind of cool. And I definitely want to get rid of this guy. So how would we go about doing that? Now, we could finish this thing off as a priority and just take 2 damage, or we could push this guy over here and move over here and not take any damage. I really want to get rid of that effect, so I think I am going to get in the way here. And we're going to hit this guy, and I am so dumb, because now we can't, if we go over here, we can't fire with artillery. I am just... Wow, I am a dum-dum. Okay, and this will happen sometimes when you play the game, where you will realize that you just didn't do the thing right. And I can't see, my spatial relations are not doing well here, so we do maybe want to stay here and fire, and then just knock this one out of the way. So that was completely my fault. I should have shot with this guy first, and we already reset our turn. But what are you going to do? So we're just going to move in here and we're going to take some damage. So here we go. So now you're definitely seeing some dumb mistakes. That first round went pretty well, and we did like accomplish almost nothing that round. So like I said, I've had some good runs. I had a really good run last time and just screwed up the last mission, and sometimes I feel really dumb. So I was really hoping that, yeah, so he moved at least, so we can go ahead and finish this guy off if we want to, although we're in kind of a dangerous situation here. So each of these guys is going to attack for 1, which is bad. So I think we definitely want to take this guy out first. Hopefully we'll play a little bit better this time. We'll blow that guy up. Now the carapace is away, so we can move over here. We can punch this guy into here, dealing a total of 3 damage. Boom. That's nice. And then we'll probably just... Now this is going to get hit once, but it has 2 health, so that's fine. So maybe we'll hit this guy for 1, because we're not in an ideal situation. He's going to get hit at least once, but I'm willing to take this hit here and just admit that we played dumb last time and put ourselves in a bad situation. Because he can do 2 damage, I'm thinking maybe, yeah, we'll just knock this one away for now. So we'll end turn. And again, you can knock people who aren't flying into the water, but I definitely wanted to get rid of that carapace for next time. So now, yeah, we're going to take 1 damage there, but we still haven't actually lost anything, and now one of the missiles have launched, so that's nice. So what are we going to do now? So we could definitely knock this guy into the water. How do we want to do this? So you are firing here. You are firing there. So if we just move out of the way here and finish this guy off, then this will miss and then this building will be safe. So I think that's a pretty safe bet. We could knock you forward, but what's the attack order here? So he's firing first. Now, do his attacks push, though, is the question. Nope, they don't push. So we want to be careful, because if we let this guy attack here, he won't push this guy into the water. But that's fine. We can go ahead and knock this guy into the water here. Bam, so there we go. Now we got to see something actually do that. We can go ahead here and take this guy out because they do 2 damage. Now this shot isn't doing anything dangerous. And then with this one, let's see here. Actually, we have enough health. I think we're going to come down here and do this. So that way we'll take this guy out, do 1 damage to this, and we'll block a spawn 1 turn and take 1 damage. But that's no big deal. We've defended the first satellite. Hopefully pretty soon we'll defend the second satellite. And we haven't taken a little bit of mech damage, but that's no big deal. Now, one last thing is you can repair your mechs on your turn instead of attacking. So we could go ahead and move, and then we could click on the repair icon and then click on ourselves. So that's something you can do on your turn. So we're going to win next turn. So that's all fine and dandy. Now, pay attention to this also. I missed this one time when I was playing where a mech just got destroyed. When this launches, it's going to set fire off, and it will just kill everything around it, no matter their health. So I ended up losing a pilot. So you can use a mech without a pilot, but they don't have any special abilities or anything. When you do that, they don't gain experience. You do unlock other pilots as you go during each mission. So right now, all we have to do is move this artillery, and we're fine. So, and also if you start your turn in fire, you'll take a damage at the start of your turn, and you'll continue to be on fire until you take a repair action or go in water, I believe. So this is pretty simple. We can go ahead and just kill this thing. And then, actually, why not? We can go ahead, we can end up doing 2 damage to this thing. Let's make sure we don't stand in the blast zone, but go ahead and do this, and then we can go ahead and do this, bam, and then we will end turn. So I felt like I did some pretty dumb things turn 1 there, but we ended up okay. Now, you may say this is looking pretty easy. Trust me, it gets harder. The final mission in each island is harder, and then the final mission is pretty difficult. Like I said, I got there with like full grid health last time and ended up losing. We score points based on the civilians we protect. This number goes down, civilians die whenever buildings are destroyed. Then you can see this character is already max level, and then the other one's leveling up. And again, as we get more of these cores and the things like that, we can use them to upgrade cool things. Also, at the end of an island, we'll have an option where we can buy upgrades for our mechs. So for example, you can see all of our mechs, they can carry 2 different weapons. Some of them are like support weapons, prevent enemies from attacking. There's healing things, there's damage basing things, there's things that can launch smaller little tanks that have other special abilities. So while this game may look pretty basic right now, the longer you get into a run, the more complex things get, the more interesting things get, the more things you unlock, and there's lots of cool stuff. So overall, as you can probably tell, I am really enjoying this game, but I thought you guys might want to check it out if you enjoyed FTL. Even if you don't know what FTL is, first of all, go check it out. It's a really cool game. But if you enjoy turn-based strategy, I think this game has a lot of depth. You can play it on easy if maybe you're not a big turn-based strategy person, and if you are, you can play it on regular or hard, see how far you get. And overall, I'm really enjoying this game. Like I said, leave a like, a comment, or whatever if you want to see more on this, but I definitely want to. We haven't really done a must-play indie in a while because honestly, they don't get that much views. But if you did enjoy this, please also, not only like, share, but share and subscribe so that people will be able to see it, so we can keep showing you more cool indie content. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.